What is going on, everybody? I hope you're having a good week. So today I'm going to talk about something that a lot of people in the comments are going to say I don't know much about. But over the years of selling PCs, pitching PCs to people, and helping family members and friends with their computers and gaming laptops, there's a name in the business that has been going around for a long time, and that is ASUS. This is without a doubt one of the most popular PC manufacturing companies aside from Alienware. And for a long time, ASUS has been one of the most reliable gaming PC manufacturers that I have usually gone with. But as of recent, I switched over to Alienware or custom PCs or even Valve's Steam Deck, just because I have noticed a decline in the reliability of ASUS gaming computers. Now, of course, it is one of the most popular, even at the moment, especially with ASUS ROG Ally coming out soon and everybody's talking about the prices. But you have to make sure to keep realistic expectations. And over the years, I've slowly stopped recommending ASUS computers to my friends and family, mostly because almost 100% of the time, those laptops that I recommend usually end up getting some kind of technical problems, a lot of which were the drivers for the laptop. Even after installing all the drivers, there has been Wi-Fi adapter issues, Bluetooth adapter issues, motherboard issues, graphics card, CPU. Whenever there is an AMD CPU inside of that gaming laptop, there tends to be a lot of issues with these ASUS gaming laptops. And I've personally spent probably 100 hours trying to fix other people's issues with these gaming laptops. And it's strange, without fault, there's always some kind of issue with ASUS laptops nowadays. And a lot of people do see the 5-star ratings in Best Buy and Amazon. And a lot of times I start to think that those 5-star ratings are a bit fake, because I haven't had a positive experience with an ASUS laptop since I got one about 10 years ago. And that was a laptop that included a 1060, so it wasn't as demanding, and it was quite a big laptop. So considering those things, it's no wonder it worked so well. But with the newer, thinner laptops, ASUS seems to not get its thermals correct for the most part. Even with the most popular ASUS gaming laptop, which is the Zephyrus, there seems to be some kind of motherboard issue with that a lot of the time. So while looking for a new gaming laptop, I went with Alienware because its customer service is vastly better than ASUS, apparently. So it is a strange time for ASUS to come out with a handheld, because I want to trust them and I want to ignore everything I've been going through with them for the past 10 years. But honestly, a lot of people are hyped because it could be the Steam Deck killer. But I'll tell you right now, the Steam Deck and its quality is some of the best I've seen in all my years of collecting and modifying PCs. That thing is made with absolute love. And ASUS is a company that just takes the opportunity and that evolutionary step with gaming PCs, and sometimes it pushes it too far. And honestly, looking at a smaller handheld that has 2 fans, a divided battery, and twice the amount of power that a Steam Deck has with a smaller form factor is, once again, just like ASUS always does, pushing it maybe a little too far. And I can't ignore all of the red flags. A lot of people spent a few hours with it, and yeah, you could spend a few hours with it, but having it over time, it just seems like there might be a lot of issues with this handheld. And that's just judging it based on my common experiences with normal ASUS laptops and their gaming laptops and PCs. And it just seemed like over time, because they started to get more popular, their quality has dwindled as well. But of course, this is a new product and it's kind of experimental, especially to them. So they might be handling this like they're brand new. And I'm not trying to burst anybody's bubble. I just want everyone to set their expectations realistically. ASUS has had a lot of problems lately, and their reliability and demand have been somewhat overwhelming for them in the past few years. But I feel like that's just the gaming laptop space lately. It seems like with all of these hardware advancements, gaming PC manufacturers just have a lot to adapt to. And ASUS, being one of the most popular, have the most attention on them. But if you look at any review out there for these laptops, about half are mediocre, opposed to the other half being positive. So it's kind of a 50-50 chance that the ASUS ROG Ally is going to deliver 100%. But I'm certainly keeping my expectations realistic for this handheld. It's not going to be the answer to everything. The reason why I like the Steam Deck so much is because its hardware is so reliable. and it doesn't have Windows. ASUS ROG Ally has Windows, and I've run into too many issues with that OS. Like, how are they going to solve the constant update issue without me going into the deeper settings and disabling them to eventually get a crazy amount of OS problems if I do disable it? If you have a 512 gigabyte, it's most likely going to be taken up by a lot of updates. I've had a 256 gigabyte laptop and updates fill that up in about 1 month. So you think shader cache is bad for Steam Deck, wait until you see Windows 10, 11, and 12 updates. And I know it's coming with Windows 11, so it's not going to be as bad as 12 or slow, but I'm still worried about compatibility because when something doesn't work with Windows, it tends to never get fixed. Opposed to the Steam Deck, yes, there is a lot of unreliable aspects to Proton, but at least they fix it in like a week, opposed to waiting 10 years for one game to be fixed on Windows. For me, with Windows, there is no silver lining. The only way they're going to really get my attention is if they make some kind of mobile gaming version of Windows and their interface. Because before getting into that gaming interface and all of the software like controller compatibility, you're going to have to update Windows and there's going to have to be some kind of compatibility there. Windows is still some kind of layer. It's kind of like Proton, but it's 10,000 times bigger. So if there's an issue in Windows, it's going to take a lot longer to find it. And Microsoft tends to be very slow about this. It's really unfortunate that a lot of people are getting excited for this handheld simply because of the specs, when you have to pay attention to reputation. And even though ASUS does make fantastic hardware that is very promising, it still unfortunately is tethered to Windows. And that's something that makes it half as good. I know it's probably going to play games better, faster, but there are going to be times that Windows just craps out on you or needs you to update before you start playing your games. It's the fact that it is much less convenient than having a gaming Linux OS that's fine-tuned for the Steam Deck. I think it's less about the price and more about what the platform is actually doing. Sure, it could be the same price, but throwing in Windows in there, honestly, I don't know what people are so hyped about. And also, I haven't had a good experience with ASUS in such a long time. And I guess I'm one of the minorities, but the minority is still a huge group for a company as big as ASUS. That's still like 1 million people having issues. And with a handheld like the ROG Ally, it's going to be at first appealing to the minority who are asking for this kind of hardware. So yeah, I wouldn't be too excited about the ROG Ally simply because of the price and the specs, and some people online spent 2 hours with it. Of course, they're going to let you play games that they advise you to play because it plays very well on the software and hardware, but there are so many games that just do not work with Windows properly. And I think if you say eventually in the future they will have some compatibility, well, you just have to take into account that they are still working with Windows. And if you're telling me to change my opinion about Windows and their reputation, that's asking for a gigaton of faith. I pretty much have no faith when it comes to Windows. Anything that has to do with it, no matter how flashy it is, it seems to never work out for the platform. I'm surprised Windows is still around, to be honest, because they honestly have been making my PC gaming life a living hell. And that's an under exaggeration. So if you're getting hyped for the ROG Ally, just think about what it's actually coming with and what you'll have to deal with just to get to the features that you're buying the system for. You're still going to have to deal with Microsoft's Windows, and they're going to give you Game Pass, woohoo, yay. It's still going to have Windows. They're just doing that to honeypot you. I advise supporting something more stable and reliable like Linux and Valve. Valve owns Steam. Sure, they're having some kind of semi-monopoly on it like some people are talking about, yeah, but that's not a bad thing. I want everything to be in one platform potentially and not scattered in different platforms, because if you buy into the ROG Ally, you're going to have to get different launchers like Origin, Ubisoft, Rockstar. And I know those launchers are still in Steam, but at least those games are in Steam with the launchers as extensions, opposed to starting up 3 different launchers to take up your RAM just to have your full library ready to go. I just don't like the idea of taking Windows on the go. It just doesn't sound appealing to me. Even if they have specs and a price that is incredible, I still think about all the PTSD I've had with this OS over the course of pretty much my entire life. But this wasn't about hating on Windows, even though I love doing it. It's about ASUS and their bipolar reputation, especially with hardware. I think the appeal for me and the reason I like the Steam Deck, and I probably will like it better than the ROG Ally, is because they're a company that's coming from outside of the gaming PC space. They haven't really been a major player for a long time, so they had the opportunity to really take a step back and look at what all of these companies are doing wrong. I feel like ASUS is a company that has been very, very close to the gaming PC space, to the point they are usually in over their head a lot, and they're just trying to crank out the numbers so their PCs look impressive but aren't actually as reliable as you'd think. With the 10, 20, and 30 series, and now the 40 series coming out, ASUS has a lot on their plate. So once again, it does make sense why they have a lot of repairs opposed to sales. But if you look at a lot of reviews online, there are a considerable amount of mediocre to bad reviews out there for their gaming laptops. So just keep that in mind and keep realistic expectations for this upcoming gaming PC handheld, because I'm not buying into all this hype and saying it's the Steam Deck killer. If it is the Steam Deck killer, that's great. If it turns out to be perfect, that's awesome. But considering all the stuff I've dealt with ASUS and all the stuff I've dealt with Windows, I have a lot of doubts, naturally. And no matter what, the fact is that the system is coming with Windows 11. That's something that's not a guess, and that's something I kind of want to avoid. I honestly think even if I see it in the stores, unless I hear like 100% positive reviews, then maybe I'll try out the ROG Ally, and maybe I'll tolerate Windows just once. If the price is $650 or $700, I probably won't get the system, because honestly, I would want to put a 1 terabyte in there anyway. So I would need to save money. And apparently their different storage also comes with slightly different hardware. So I would have to get the 512 from what I understand. And if I'm wrong, correct me. But I wouldn't want to spend $700 just so I can spend another $200 to replace the internal SSD. Because honestly, $500 is not enough, especially when it comes to gaming laptops. If I do get this further on down the line, then I'll most likely wait for a 2 terabyte internal SSD upgrade, and I'll get this as my future handheld system. But until then, I don't see it replacing Steam Deck anytime soon, especially for the fact that it comes with Windows. But yeah, you guys can enjoy it. I'm just going to stay back here and potentially watch the shit show. And let me know what you guys think about the ROG Ally. Do you think the hardware specifications and potential price leak are enough to consider it over a Steam Deck? Or are you bothered by the fact that it's coming with Windows 11? And whichever opinions you have, let me know in the comments below. And thanks for watching. I hope you guys have a good one. Later.